Hi everyone and welcome to the Top Football Predictions. I'm here as always with my trusty colleague Atul Jani.
Hey there pundits, and let's get straight in.
Atul, we're going to get straight into it, mate, but we've had international break and we did do the end of game week 12 wrap up, but we don't always get this opportunity, but we're actually going to take a deeper dive into the predictions analysis, because with the players that we've got playing this season, mate, they're very astute, they're very on the ball, they've paid their money, they take their chance, and there's some great performances, as we always try to highlight, Atul, but it's an opportunity now just to really take a dive into the analysis and see what's kind of trending, who's scoring points and why they're scoring points. And obviously there's still loads to play for, we're only like a third of the way through the season, but I know you love your stats, mate, and we've both had a look at this, and I think there's some interesting reading, isn't there, mate?
Yeah. I mean, the main thing about it is what we've tried to do is try to put together something where we show an average and see if you're above that line or below that line, and it just gives you an indicator with the way of this through the season. So some impressive bits. One of the most notable bits was the Goal Fest, wasn't it? We found.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Martin. I mean, there's rhyme and reason here. He's top of the league so far after game week 12, and he's managed to put 500 points on the ball through Game Fest games at least so far this season. So, I mean, that's incredible, really. The Goal Fest games are the ones, they are key on.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Lee as well, scored 450.
450 in Goal Fest game. I mean,
Danny 200.
Yeah.
And you can see where they are in the league as well, so you get a better understanding where the points can be accumulated.
Absolutely, and over the last few years, although some people are debutants this season, we've always tried to reward the players for going for those predictions, because sure, there's luck, skill and everything involved in the predictions, but we're really trying to open up the gap between just getting a 5 point here and 5 point there, and then players that really go for those games and scores and they come off 100%. So that's some really good, and we're going to send all the analysis sheet out after the we've gone off air today, but what else have we seen? Because we looked at some averages as well, mate, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, we got a game week average. At the moment, it's about 101 points.
101 points
per game week. I would say confidently, I'd say about 45% at least are hitting the 101 plus on their averages. So myself, for example, I am on a game week average of 105.
Yep.
In comparison to the game week accumulated average of 101, meaning that I'm just above the averages.
So to be honest, mate, in the last few weeks you've had storming success, and if we'd have taken a cut of this data before, you probably would have been below, but you're playing well, to be honest, and like we always say, Atul, and don't we always say this, only needs a couple of weeks to turn it around, but and we're going to send you all of this sheet so you can have a look at the comparison on the screenshot of who's doing what, but there are some really good notable performances, and as we've said before, Martin's top of the league, and therefore it's no coincidence that, like with the Goal Fest ones we mentioned, he's leading in that. I mean, Atul, bonus points this season, you've got 100 more than anyone else, and there's still game week 13 and game week 14 that still basically is included for the player of this month. So you're already, I remember from looking at the sheet, you're already in line for maybe another 50 bonus points. So
yeah, I mean, the funny thing was that last season I couldn't get any bonus points for Love Nor Money until the latter part, when everyone's bonus points start to
in. Sure.
But it's crazy, but still, in the old days like that, those bonus points would have elevated myself or whoever would have had that certain amount of bonus points right to the top.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean anything now.
No? I mean, Daniel Ledley, when we talk about more bonus points, the hot shot points, he's accumulated 375 points on those hot shot points. I mean, that's really good going, although I think they can change quite quickly, because if you get one spot on, it's 150 points right there. I don't think many people have managed to get it spot on, but that can quickly turn around. That is a category that we're going to watch, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, plenty of games to play, plenty of results will be more and more difficult as positions start to become a lot more clearer. Teams fighting for survival, teams fighting for a push in Europe. I wouldn't say Champions League,
No.
but also you've got to tip your hat off to Daniel as well for also getting 150 points on the goal scorer as well.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think 3 correct goal scorers.
Yeah, and I think it was game week 12 and 13. He hit it spot on. So no, that takes some doing. I always say if you can get that category, it's very satisfying. If you can actually get that category with the actual result as well, there's 100 points right there in that one game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic. But Graham, 330 points. He leads the season so far. And what that 330 points equates to, it's the highest individual game week score. I mean, you've got. I think it was Danny Atware, wasn't it? The Super 6 total scoring, which was what was it? Something 340 points on Super 6 games. I mean, that takes some doing as well. So
yeah, and these points are quite valuable. They do add up to their scores, and again, circling back to what I just said, it helps to elevate their positions in the league as well. So well done Graham, and well done Danny as well.
Yeah, and when you talk about the season averages of kind of 101 in terms of game week, what about the actual overall score kind of averages as well? Because people will be able to see where they are.
Yeah, it's got to be one person and one person only at this stage to talk about. And,
oh, it's not me. Ah, disappointing.
And it's not me as well. It's our man Martin.
Absolutely, yeah. Martin's leading the way. But you look at game week 12. We've looked at the averages, and it's 1,212 points is your year to date where you should be as an average player. So when you see this table, if you're above 1,212 points, you are doing better than average. So that's a really good marker.
Yeah, it is a good marker. It's something to work with as well, and it's interesting to see where you're grabbing the points as well, and maybe to think, I haven't scored anything on the first goal scorer. I might have to focus a little bit on there, not to detract from what you have to get overall. But it gives you a little bit more focus as well, or maybe say, I can accumulate more points on my Goalfest games.
Indeed,
because I'm strong at that. So you always look at this form of analysis. It's not to criticise; it's to push you in the right direction.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
However, one kind of trying to push to the limits, as we say, is now we know, excuse me, Mark Lawrenson. We have him as a kind of standard ex-pro pundit now, and I always look at him. AJ, that Loro sits on the fence, but with his predictions. But this season, he scored in one game week 460 points. That just goes. I mean, we've already said Graham is the leader in individual game week score, but that just goes to show you how far that boundary can be pushed this season. And I think we're going to push that envelope much further as the season goes in.
And as I said a couple of weeks ago, I said 500 to reality of a game week. That is no longer unbeatable.
No, absolutely.
It's like all these records are there to be broken at the end of the day. So roll on, and hats off to whoever gets that 500.
Absolutely.
Not impossible. Could happen this season.
Well, it could. Yeah, I think it will go, mate. I think it will tumble.
460 definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't put a category in so far about the Joker cards because we've only had one player do that, and that's Gary, and we did highlight that unfortunately he didn't really maximise. I think he got 50 points, but I know as well as you know, and you've played your Joker cards really big in previous seasons, there's going to be some big hitting scores on the Joker cards.
It becomes all tactical, and judging by the guys who are playing there this season, they really do take this seriously. And I know that a lot of them are quite tactical as well, and it will get to the stage where you start thinking, I might need to play catch up, so I might play the Joker card, or I might need to get that advantage to win Manager of the Month or whatever, or to win Player of the Season or things like that, or to really elevate myself in the dash for the cash.
Yeah, well, you're playing it tactically with Player of the Month because you're doing well, and as I said earlier, you haven't won it yet again, but you are in line to do that, and I know that some people remember dear Anton, bless him, he always played his 3 Joker cards right near the last 3 game weeks because it was always it was like a Black Panther in amongst the reeds, and he was always about to pounce. He was always close, and And if you play these joker cards, he could really accelerate past you. But
and again, it will probably happen this time.
Hey, it works.
If it works, it works. Listen, if you guys want to play all 3 of your joker cards towards the end of the last 3 game weeks of the season, roll on. Why
Absolutely.
Because don't forget, you might get more games as well. Because
as the fixtures kind of get postponed with the weather, and then we've got European tournaments and the domestic tournaments. One team might be still involved, so they'll get put back. And in one game week, you might get 14 games, for example. And there's all tactical things.
You want to play a joker card, maximise it, get the most points. Of course. Why not?
But I still think Gary did a good thing when he played his, though, because he wasn't where he wanted to be in the league, and we've seen him perform very well before. But he just wanted to try and keep pace, like you always say, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But he just wanted to put himself in that chasing pack. But when there's money on it, mate, it's a competition. Everybody, it's important for everyone and serious. And you talk about the dash for the cash, but there's some serious contenders at the moment.
And there's going to be loads of twists and turns. No doubt.
Absolutely, mate. So there's the analyses. We're going to send it over anyway, and you can have a real good deep dive into that. But hey, fast upon us now, and I wanted to say this well over a week ago. Game week 13's coming up, mate. We've got some juicy ties. We haven't looked through it too much, but the one plum tie that is standing out is the Spurs Chelsea game, and for those players in the game that do like those teams respectively, there's some history between these two clubs, so that should be. It's at Wembley. It should be a really good, tasty affair, shouldn't it, mate?
Oh yeah, plenty to play for. Chelsea have been, not really, shouldn't really be surprised about them. They've got the same standard of players, or the same set of players anyway. I think obviously they're not deeply involved in the Champions League has helped them as well.
I think
like
so.
Arsenal as well. Let's be honest. It gives them a new focus, another entry into Champions League the following season if they do well. And to be honest, the league form has been really impressive.
It has. I didn't know much about the character Sarri, who's managing them, and I thought when I looked at the start of the season, I thought, will Chelsea even make top 4? Well, I tell you what, their form at this season at the moment.
I wouldn't surprise if they even win it. It's a bold statement.
It is, yeah.
Let's be honest, Man City are flying. They're given the rubber stamp as a gone favourites. I think Chelsea will push them. I really do. Because they've still got a good squad of players.
Yeah, of course.
Sarri hasn't really done too much tinkering, which is the best thing, but he's brought the best out of some players, hasn't he?
I think you're right. Just listening to you there, I think when a new manager comes, I think the worst thing you can do is make wholesale changes. I think you come in, you analyse what you've got, and you give everyone a chance. You're starting from scratch. Everyone, impress me, see what we can do. Obviously, he's looking at me in training, and I think you're right. I think they will go close. I think as well, Liverpool, who almost like Man City this season and last, can't stop scoring. I was having a look at their run of fixtures up until Christmas, and you know what, right? Because they were so dependent on Salah last season, I know they've got a wealth of players in that attacking edge to them. But I think if they get a couple of injuries over Christmas, and we all know about Christmas, it's a key period of the season. I'm not saying there's going to be trouble ahead, but it's like when we spoke about City in previously. If Aguero goes down, will Jesus come in and do what Aguero's done? Now we could say yes, he will, because I think there was a cup match, or the last Carabao Cup match, where actually Jesus started. I think he pinged in a hat trick. But what if we've always said, what if Harry Kane goes down? Dele Alli isn't pulling all the strings at the moment. Eriksen isn't even doing what he normally does. So what will happen there? If other teams get injuries, but it's going to be interesting. Another interesting game, mate, is Man United Crystal Palace this weekend, and United always have the potential to get firing under Mourinho, and what is going on at Pogba, I just do not know. And then Uncle Roy with Palace, their better form is at home, they're away to United. Could it be a bloodbath? Could United get firing, or could it be kind of a tactical affair?
Well, you can't really tell with Palace. What Palace team turns up is the most important thing. As you rightfully say, they've got the capability of turning over United, or they've got the capability of
getting turned over by United
and bludgeoned once more. But again, the most frustrating thing about United is that they've got the capability of winning, and winning handsomely, but they just, unfortunately, Lukaku is a huge disappointment in my eyes.
Yeah.
Martial, fantastic. Hang on to him. That's what I say.
Yeah. Purely out of my interest in a couple of the boys out there, it's Arsenal away at Bournemouth. Now, I'd like to say nowadays we're back to the old days and we should be rolling over Bournemouth, but look, Bournemouth have just got an England international striker playing now. He's been called up. I think we know what we're talking about, mate. They're pretty solid at the back, and Eddie Howe, I think he's probably over the last 2 or 3 seasons almost quite underrated, really.
Yeah,
he's doing a great job there.
I mean, they are.
Do you go to Bournemouth nowadays and win handsomely? Because I don't think you do,
Listen, you can only go to Bournemouth and hope for a draw.
Yeah.
Really, they are a fantastic team. As I begrudgingly would say, they're actually the pride of the South Coast, I would say, at this stage.
Oh.
Even though
South Coast.
We're Championship leaders, Championship League One leaders. Next year, probably
smashing it down there, actually, mate. But
but no. Bournemouth, fantastic, really tight, compact team. Nathan Ake, he's really stepped up to the plate.
I think they bought him for about 13 million, and he got injured in the first 3 months when they originally did buy him, and I think that was last season. But obviously, he's really stepping up.
The troops a lot, you know.
Absolutely,
so,
mate.
You know, they're handy side, and they're very, very difficult to break down.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, that's just a flavour of game week 13, which is all to come. We've really gone into depth with the analysis, and I hope you have some fun and enjoy looking at it and seeing what's what. And we'll do an update for sure when we do get time to do this. But I must admit, when we do our next take, it'll be interesting to see how the stats have changed from this time. But interesting reading.
Maybe do it in 2/3 of the way of the season.
Yeah, we'll do it in a third way. But hope you have fun with it, guys. Have a little look at it, and at the end of the day, get your predictions in as well for this game week.
Could be in it to win it.